The regular season is over, we know our opponent in the bowl game, and the portal is about to be set ablaze. SC has a ton of needs obviously, and has already been targeting some players including a big-time quarterback. So in today's video, we'll go over all the players SC has offered in the portal so far, some targets I've identified myself and think SC should go after, and we'll also talk about the players that have entered the portal from USC's roster. We have a ton to talk about today, so let's get into this. Let's go. What's up guys, my name is Gabe and welcome into the Trojan Blade. It is my favorite time of the year, transfer portal season. I am a roster construction nerd, so this is just fascinating to me. With a new defensive coordinator, a new scheme, and a new conference, a lot of change is coming. So like I mentioned earlier, we have some targets and some things I'm looking for SC to add in the portal as well. But guys, before we get into it, if you are enjoying the content, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It truly helps me out so much. Check out my Patreon and channel memberships that are linked down below. Thank you so much, and let's get into this. All right, so obviously we are starting at the quarterback spot. Lincoln Riley has identified Kansas State quarterback Will Howard as his man and is going after him. Lincoln flew out to Manhattan, Kansas yesterday to meet with Will, and talks are still ongoing there. So before we go any further, let me just say I am a huge fan of Will Howard. I have been ever since last year. I was very impressed with him in 2022 when he came in for Adrian Martinez. We'll talk numbers here in a second, but if you haven't seen Will play, he's a very strong and physical guy. He's listed at 6'5", 240, and he plays exactly up to his size. This guy is a leader. If you listen to how his teammates talk about him, they love him. He's very good in the scramble drill. He's shown some creativity and playmaking skills there. And guys, he may not look it, but this guy's fast. He can really run. Obviously, I can't show it here due to copyright issues, but he had a touchdown against Texas where he just outran the secondary. It was very impressive. And man, this guy is not afraid to put his shoulder down and run your ass over. Now, he doesn't have the biggest arm in the world distance-wise, but he does throw the ball with some nice velo. There's definitely juice on the ball. It's not a dead ball. And he is also phenomenal in the read option and RPO game. He was also an academic all-conference guy over there in the Big 12, which I think speaks to both his character and his professionalism. Honestly, I think he's close to a perfect fit in this Lincoln Riley offense. But taking a look at the numbers here. So you see he was really up and down from 2020 to 2021. But like I mentioned, last year in 2022, he finally started to play some games. And guys, he really looked good leading his team to a Big 12 championship win. Of course, passing the ball, which they don't do a ton over there at Kansas State. But he had 15 touchdowns, 4 picks, 1,600 yards. So some nice numbers there. And then you look at this year. He was the guy coming into the year. He has dealt with some injuries, but 2,600 yards passing, 24 touchdowns, 10 picks, a little high on the picks there. But with all due respect to Kansas State, in terms of quarterback development and just offensive scheme, it's not even in the same galaxy as what he's going to be dealing with over at SC. So I'm not worried about that personally. But take a look at the rushing here. 9 rushing touchdowns this year in 2023 with a long of 70. He also had a long of 80 in 2020. That's where I think his game is really going to help SC, especially this year moving to the Big 10. I mean, could you think of a more perfect quarterback to lead you into the Big 10? This guy's big. He plays very big, and man, at the goal line, he will run someone over like I said earlier. So he's been a very productive player. And look, take my opinions of Will Howard out of it. When it comes to quarterbacks, I trust Lincoln. Even if I wasn't a fan of Will Howard, I would trust Lincoln with this. Lincoln could take a guy working at a gas station and say he's our quarterback, and I will have 100% blind faith in both Lincoln and that quarterback. Things do appear to be heating up here as well with Will. Like I said, yesterday Lincoln flew out to Manhattan to meet with Will, and 247 also reported that this is not an NIL-driven recruitment. It'll be about fit primarily, and that SC and Will Howard are in negotiations currently. So watch this one. I'd be fired up for sure. And before you guys leave comments saying, what about Miller Moss and Malachi Nelson? I love both of those guys. They're both Trojans, but we haven't seen one meaningful snap from either of those guys, honestly. You know who has seen a lot of them though? Lincoln Riley. If he wants to add someone else, then I trust him to do so. Now we have another offensive player to talk about in superstar Cal running back Jade Knott. There were some serious connections last year between Ott and SC. Well, the smoke is back and smokier than ever. I don't need to tell you guys how good of a player Jade Knott is. Explosiveness, vision, power, plus his ability as a pass catcher really makes him one of the more dynamic and well-rounded weapons in the entire country, not just the Pac-12. Think of a potential backfield of Will Howard and Jade Knott. That would be an incredible and almost unstoppable duo in the read option game. Link after link keeps popping up between SC and OT. This one really feels like it's a matter of time before it's announced. Of course, it is the transfer portal, so who really knows? But personally, I would put money on it. Now, defensively, I know this is what you've all been waiting for. Obviously, a massive overhaul is going to take place this offseason. With new defensive coordinator D'Anton Lynn running the show, some different kinds of players will need to be added to the program to run this scheme correctly. First things first, no questions about it, gotta get bigger on that defensive line. Coach Lynn doesn't play that 270-pound nose tackle stuff Grinch was using. We have to get bigger guys, both starters and depth pieces as well. And guys, as I'm recording this, it is currently Sunday night. It's 11:30 over here on the East Coast. And about an hour ago, star Texas A&M defensive lineman Walter Nolan entered the portal. This would be a home run, grand slam, whatever you want to call it. We need to do whatever we can to get this guy. This one is a massive game changer. You have to get him. 6'4", 290. And this guy is just a disruptor. He would be an absolute force in this new defense we're going to be running at SC. Gotta go get him. I'm sure he's number one on the priority list for Lincoln Riley and this USC staff, outside of the quarterback position, of course. Another guy I would personally watch for is Georgia outside linebacker Darius Smith. Darius is in the portal. He was the number 14 ranked edge in the country in 2022. He's listed at 6'5", 240. A super athletic guy, and with Bear having already made the move out to LA and appearing to be really enjoying his time, it makes sense that we'd be targeting more of those athletic Georgia guys. One thing we'll be able to promise is playing time. And for a young guy like this, it makes all the sense in the world. Now, while Darius is more of a prospect, Maryland linebacker Jayshawn Barham is anything but. This guy is an absolute stud. Last season in 2022, as a true freshman, he was a freshman All-American. Honorable mention All-Big Ten as well. He was banged up this year, and that did limit some of his production, but this is a big-time talent that would fit in seamlessly in this D'Anton Lynn defense. Alright, now moving on from that, we do have some actual offers that have gone out. We have interior offensive lineman Remington Strickland from Texas A&M. That is a fantastic name. He was a role player for A&M this year, not playing much until the last few weeks of the year. 6'4", 300 pounds, obviously very well known by USC offensive line coach Josh Henson. You also have Penn defensive tackle Joey Slackman. Big time player in the Ivy League, listed at 6'4", 300 pounds. You see why Coach Lynn is going after him. And then lastly, you have Western Kentucky defensive back Upton Stout. This kid is a very versatile guy back there in the secondary that I think projects more as a nickelback at SC. He is on the smaller side, but he brings that physical presence to the field, so he would make a lot of sense as well. Alright, now SC has had some portal entries as well, of course. Again, this is going to change and evolve rapidly, so if this is out of date by the time you're watching, I do apologize. But so far, we've seen defensive lineman Jamar Sakona, running back wideout hybrid Raleigh Brown, safety Zamarian Gordon, running back Darwin Barlow, one of my favorites, tight end Jude Wolfe, and also linebacker Chris Thompson Jr. So not a ton of impact in that group, obviously. Jude did play a pretty consistent role this year, and obviously with the Ray League, there was so much left on the bone there, unfortunately. But yeah, not huge departures yet. Now, there's definitely going to be. Whether it's before or after the bowl game will remain to be seen, but there are some big names that are going to be leaving us, so that is something to monitor as well. Tomorrow, or I guess today, is going to be a crazy day. So much madness is going to happen, and I'm so excited for it all. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. You are all awesome, and as always, take care and fight on.